Let's see how they fare here now. Fighting from one map behind. Now, it is a best-of-5 grand finals with no map advantage, so it is a very level playing field here. BDS narrowly took Bank. It took every single round almost to decide who was going to be winning over on Bank. And here we jump into Villa. Ying getting removed there. Falcons, they're still going to go with the Nook ban. Now, I don't think the Nook ban necessarily has as much value on a map like Villa. There's still opportunities for LMs to really cause havoc on that operator, but not so much as other maps inside of the pool. But they're not going to waste any time banning away that Valkyrie from Shaiko. I would dare say that they are going to be two staple bans throughout all of these maps.
And more than likely going to be looking at the same thing overall, as I believe, yep, indeed, we will get the mirror once again. So quite literally, a reflective ban from map number 1 here, as we get the same exact thing for the second time in a row. Good possibility that actually stays the case throughout the further maps, too. We'll have to see if we end up seeing BDS close in on this map. Maybe the Falcons will take what you're saying to heart and start to second guess the Nook ban. The Valkyrie, though, will more than likely stay in play as long as we go to maps where she can be quite useful. So let's get ourselves into round number 1. As it's going to be BDS on the attack, Falcons to start out on the defense.
There's got to be a little bit of value as well for Falcons starting off on the defense, especially after with the way that map 1 went. They are going to want that more comfortable side to really try and give themselves an easy ride into things.
Oh, it's actually the other way around.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, BDS get the comfortable side.
The stage lied to us.
Oh dear, oh dear. Well, hopefully it's right. I'm sure it is. But BDS starting things off on the defense here, so they get the benefit of the slightly more comfortable side. Shaiko going to be rocking the Warden pick as well. It's not all the time that we see the Warden come out. It's something that certainly LATAM teams are very quick to draw for if they feel like the stun pressure is becoming a little bit too much. Often see players like Palu picking onto a Warden if the occasion calls for it, but this time it is going to be Shaiko. Still going to be rocking that very friendly and familiar MPX, I imagine. Obviously shares the same gun as Valkyrie.
We do still see quite a bit of use cases for Warden, especially on a site like this too, where you can oftentimes see that flash dump execute come in. He'll be able to get himself into the way of that quite easily. Deployable shield position somewhere, more than likely going to see that in the usual spot over by the main stairs hold, however, so may not be able to be too useful on the inside of the actual execute, but we'll follow that up a little bit later on into the round here as we have the Falcons making their first bout forward, obviously taking control of just Arch Studio, and across from that having access to the lower main stairs landing as well. They are going to be a little cautious though. They can see these top downs that were opened up earlier in the round from BDS, and they're going to be watching out for them to make sure they don't lose anyone early on, especially considering the damage had already been done to Shaiko, potentially adventuring towards one of those openings and coming out of the losing end of a fight there. He'll be down at about 20 HP as a result of that.
I'm not sure if he got a caught on some unfortunate time in walking past a window or something like that as it was getting pre-fired open. At least he's managed to keep himself alive for the time being. Renshiro going to be operating in and around the main stairs. He's got plenty of utility to keep himself going as well. A couple of magnets, bulletproof shield. He's got Malusi Banshee knocking around there as well to really assist him on that hold. Falcons really ought to be looking for a lot of vertical nades, and I imagine that's what we're going to get to eventually once the information has been gathered. They do have plenty of nades in pocket. We're going to see Okills go for one there. Didn't see the utility that it got. It certainly didn't deal any damage. Joker laid ready as well. Looking for a nade. He does have a couple of holes to play with, so could as well like throw one through the gaps. The first kill is going to go on to Alems. He takes J-Lad down. Joker still attempting these vertical nades. He is going to deal a little bit of damage there. They are going to go for quite a quick push here as they do remove the Banshee and look to charge up those main stairs.
Joker able to take a nice contest here. Nearly gets himself a second against the Lems as well. The first one obviously successful to knock out Renshiro. Okills here trying to contend back against the main stairs play as well. Now they've been able to clear that back out. Having Shaiko downed also, but not going to be able to get the confirmation off onto him just yet. Potential possibility for him to get res, but more than likely not going to happen anymore. He's off on an island here, and I think his teammates realize that that potential nade was going to be coming from below at any moment, so they don't even try to go for the pickup against him here. Another pickup going to be found from Joker as he finishes off that kill he was looking for for earlier against Alems. Nicely controlled by him on this avenue. He'll continue to push forward now with full control over the bar. That should be a play opportunity for Kotos if he wants to come in and take the position behind the bar itself. Might not even need to, though, as Kotos is fragging out right now. He's found Rafal. Everything has fallen to Playday here. He gets one off the SMG 11 at least, but 3 more players to go. He can also try to delay this to the timer, but more than likely not so anymore. Kotos finally committing himself to the interior for the plant. Playday will not have an angle to stop him, and the timer will start ticking in the other direction. However, Playday had a hope for a moment there, but ultimately just going to be traded out after he kills the planter. The Falcons take solid control over round number 1.
Slow and steady wins the race there for Falcons. They took their time taking that main stairs control, and it really came down to a burst of aggression in and around the mid-round to really dominate that area. Fantastic use of the nades from below as well, making short work of players like Shaiko and really removing the ability to sit in sight for some of those defenders. Falcons coming away with a nice early round there on this attacking side. Is it going to be enough to force the site change, though? BDS are, in fact, going to move over to Trophy and Statuary, opting against that Aviator and Games Room hold and going to stick to their rotation.
Falcons definitely some consistency to start out of the map here. BDS, unfortunately, is not able to level their aggression up to any conceivable point where they were able to deal damage against the Falcons. Just way too conjoined as a unit, which is a bit of a far cry from what we had generally been tending to see on the previous map. So good to see that extra bit of variety coming out for the Falcons here right at the start of the second map. We'll have to see how this continues to evolve as well. They will have to split themselves up a bit, as obviously there's going to be a bit of an extension deployed, a bit more heavily this time by BDS. You can see Renshiro reinforcing his own positions down here to play around the kitchen, and probably Astro a little bit as well to waste out that initial clear time from the Falcons.
Joker going to be getting himself into position here, looking for that clear through the Aviator and Games side. Bit of upside down repel action from O-Kills as well, getting himself onto Astro. We do have the Nomad in play this time as well, so Koto is likely going to look to try and cut off some of those rotations. It can be a very difficult angle to play on the Astro window. Not an easy angle to directly challenge onto. You're often dealing with players that have got C4s inside of Astronomy or behind the desk. And as such, OK is just going to take his time working that angle. Shaiko could look for some aggression here, though. He's got himself deep into the window. Ooh. Great shot from Shaiko. Barely got fully ADS before he rips off the head.
Beautiful trace from Shaiko, too. You could see it there. Had perfect prediction of the movement from that Falcons player. So Koto is not even going to know what hit him. As the second he peeks out against it, he swung down to the ground via a headshot. The Falcons now with the deficit, they'll have to make up for it. J-Lad going to try to chuck a nade in, see if meet with anything, just to take out some utility, I do believe, though. Waiting out on the other side of the hop in here for the connector. Away from that, it's actually going to be a bit open for the taking if he'd like to go for it here, but would have to watch out for the crossfire from Playday and a few of the other players if he wanted to venture further past that window's opening. You can see Madskill still clearing things out over here towards the library portion of the first floor, and oh no, that's way too bold of a play here from O-Kills. Tries to go directly for the hop-in on walk-in. Shaiko, more than ready for that challenge, shuts down a second member of the Falcons roster now, leaving it up to J-Lad, Madskills, and Joker.
Shaiko is making it look easy to keep control of Master Bedroom there. He's picked himself up 2 great kills. Madskill's going to get himself in below, into the kitchen, gets a glimpse there. Shaiko does eventually get shut down up on that top floor, but Madskills knows there's someone inside of kitchen with him and is instead just going to hightail it straight up these Astronomy stairs and collect himself another. Falcons, they've got themselves into the 2 versus 2, but it doesn't look like Madskills knows, it doesn't matter. Still gets the shutdown onto Alems. Rafal now trying to come up these Astro stairs. Madskills super low, only 1 shot would be required to shut him down. Gets a glimpse of Joker as he crosses on through, locked into the 1 versus 1 here. Rafal, how much info have you got? Do you know where Madskills is? Gets caught in the Gumai momentarily. Does still have a couple of nades to play with here. Could look to try and nade out through into Trophy, but doesn't want to get caught with a nade in his hand. Pre-fires out, does have the diffuser in pocket and 20 seconds to play with. Both players very low here. The dicey time. Madskills still convinced that the player is inside of Astronomy, as instead going to go for the rotation. Rafal patiently waiting there, just inside of Wolf.
Struggle for Falcons as they were so close to closing it out. Certainly going to be a momentum breaker for them, but either way, BDS will be happy to take that one. Definitely got a little bit scrappy towards the end of it. You can even see our player from the Falcons that had decided to move up through Astro stairs and continue to clear things out. Had a flank set out against him. That was the last player alive for BDS as well, but just unable to catch up with the pacing here of the push coming in from the Falcons. And as a result, sent us in that very dodgy scenario that BDS never really should have ended up in, considering the 2 opening kills that Shaiko got for free while holding on the inside of the 2 master rooms. Either way, though, it ties us up at 1-1. BDS now going to look to try and take the lead as they'll go for their second defense of AVG.
It's hard to tell what went wrong last time when BDS defended Aviator in games, because the main stairs had all the utility you would need to hold it, but somehow the Falcons just brute forced their way up. I mean, even the Gon 6 got caught in a Wamai magnet, and the Banshee had to be shot out anyway. There was barbed wire there that was slowing down the players. It wasn't a very smooth take of the main stairs from Falcons, but somehow they managed to make it work. It was in part due to the pressure that they had inside of Study at the same time, and kind of the passive nature from BDS in the way that they were really trying to keep hold of it. They weren't necessarily playing their life on those main stairs. BDS can come up with a more solid hold and really start to waste a little bit more time and have a bit more of a utility exchange on there. They might be able to keep Falcons at bay.
For me, it was the one-sided nature of how Falcons were able to not only clear out the stairs position, which I agree with you on that. Should have been able to see BDS hold that for a much longer period of time at a minimum, but once they get past that point, I don't even believe they had to actually take a member of BDS down to get to that part of the round. We see them get full access to Bookcase, chain it together into 2 frags from there, and at that point, the floodgates are opened as there's no further defense inside of the bar position, so Falcons just have a straight-up cutoff for the rest of the defense at that point, and are able to take much swifter control throughout the rest of that round. J-Lad already inserting himself to the back of Astro, will take control inside of Trophy. He's going to look to try and start wrapping over towards that 90 angle, where we did have defense put up from BDS last time, specifically a Lems, if memory serves me correctly, venturing towards this part of the map. Yellow ping will go on to a player, but it's not the one that J-Lad's going to be hunting for here. His target a bit more to the left. He knows it's there too, but a bit too far down the staircase, and they're actually going to trade each other. Shaiko and J-Lad both go down. This is an even exchange to send us into a 4v4 at the beginning of this round.
Not a bad start from your Ash player, Crouch walking their way into the map. Did die with 2 Claymores in pocket. I was surprised to not see him place one of those at the top of Astro for the risk of a flank later on into the round, but BDS aren't really being given that amount of space to roam with. O'Kills is going to be prowling underneath. Got a couple of yellow pings to work with, and this is about the time in the round where we do start to see these nades come through. That one won't land onto anything, but the fact that there was a yellow ping there leads me to believe there would have been some sort of utility to be removed in that spot. O'Kill's still with a frag grenade left. Joker, 2 in pocket as well. Rafal going to be making a rotation in through living room right now. It's going to be a player on the rappel on that 90 window, but could just look to try and make a rotation up these main stairs, but needs to be cautious. Nearly got caught out there by the player on that main door. Rafal really getting himself into a tricky spot here. Alems is able to assist though, picking one up onto Joker as O'Kills comes around with the swing. A messy gunfight will ensue as O'Kills is put down to 1 shot. It's credited with the kill onto Rafal, but at a great cost.
Yeah, O'Kills is going to be forced back as a result of that. Good news is, not for the lack of anything to do, though. He's got the yellow ping, and he's going to sink a beautiful up-nade here against Renshiro, setting up the Falcons for what should be a straightforward closeout now via trades. They're going to have to be a little bit careful because of the lower HP sitting on O'Kills. But still, bringing it down to a 3 versus 2 here. Should give the team all the aggressive capability they need to swing in. Kotos gets the intel on Alem's position. He won't be able to maintain it as a result of that falling back. They do have the Kona stations deep inside of Bar, but they're relatively exposed. Nicely played by Alems. Gets one, nearly goes for a second one, but Mad Skills as well. Gonna be taken down, and Alems to chain together that final frag. BDS get it done in the 2v3, and they pick up the round instead now to take the lead at 2-1.
Alems is unflappable. There is nothing that phases this guy. He's in such a bad situation. All he's got to work with is the door inside of Vault. Still able to pick up 2 kills, gives the space to Playday to land a perfect Toxic Babe canister to shut down the player that was attempting the plants as well. Very patient round from BDS, just saying, look, you're going to play into us here, and there are no 2 ways about it. Much more successful hold there for BDS inside of Aviator and Games. It's going to give them a lead, albeit a narrow one here on Villa. It's going to force them into a 3rd site rotation, which will be downstairs into the kitchen.
BDS finally going to be forced onto one of their lower sites. Oftentimes where things start to struggle a little bit for the defense because they're forced into extending themselves much more aggressively towards the second floor to be able to waste out time. We've, of course, seen the sledge play previously from the Falcons, and it would be the most useful here, be able to open up those top downs. So, of course, we'll see it replicated. It's just going to be changed up who it's on specifically, as we'll see J-Lad have to play over towards it. I believe we did have mad skills taking the mantle for this operator a little bit earlier on inside of these rounds here. So important job for him. Rest of the squad that will proceed as normally. The focus to initially clear things out near Master, as well as that additional extension, but okay. O'Kill's just gonna leap right into the fray himself. Catches a very adventurous Renshiro over on the cross. And as a result, the Falcons strike first again here in round number 4.
It's a horrible angle to die from if someone hops up onto that small garage-like building outside, gets on the roof. It's a great line of sight. A little pre-fire is all it takes to catch somebody off guard. Renshiro not having the best game so far, 0-4, really struggling with timing as well. And it's going to open the floodgates really for the Falcons to confirm this top floor clear, because they do have an advantage in it now, and the Magnets haven't had time to regenerate over time. So Renshiro is likely going to have only 2 out on the map. Nice pickup in this round from Falcons as well is going to be the IQ. Obviously, we do have a Pulse being played. Rafala's opted to bring Pulse, and IQ and Pulse, well, it is a perfect combination. If you are an attacker, you get a nice little heads up as to where said Pulse is playing. Alem's coming under pressure now, so much so that he is going to drop off as well, and look to maybe rely a little bit more on these Nitro cells. Playday picking one up over onto Mad Skills. You can only think that that was from some good information exchange from Rafal.
Things are brought once again to an even keel. Priority here for the Falcons is going to be on the intel game. Oh, Kotos getting that lucky spot of one of the members of BDS sitting on their phones. They'll be able to spot them as a result of that. In fact, it's probably the Pulse now sitting down below. This is going to be an intense battle here, as of course the defense will want to be able to play out with that info. Rafal, though, able to give his teammates the winning bit of it, as they're going to be able to take down J-Lad, removing the sledge from play before he can really make the majority of these openings that he would like to. Thankfully, here on the Q, they do have a backup policy with these breaching charges. They'll at least be able to try and hunt out a few more of these guys with that avenue being opened up, but so far no success on the top downs from the Falcons. That's going to leave Joker, as well as O'Kills, wondering what to do from the outside, and well, patience ends up being a virtue here for O'Kills, as he shuts down Alems when he gets a bit too adventurous crawling forward. Some utility to be taken care of, so the nade will roll out there to knock that out. And now we'll see the Gemini go in to get a better picture of what the rest of the interior site defense looks like.
Not an easy execute to pull off in the 3 versus 3. No C4s remaining for BDS. Rafal can jump in the scanner to see if he can find out where this push is coming from, but he's going to have the gun in his hand instead. Grabbing one onto O'Kills. Kotos battles back, but he's in the 1 versus 2. 25 seconds left to go. Going to hit the drop and look to make his entry in through tarps. Doesn't seem to be working off too much information here. He's not that confident on which way he ought to be going. BDS, they are going to be playing things very close to their chest here. The Banshee going to give the game away as he looks to try and pre-fire on into the site. 9 seconds to go, and he needs to try and line these 2 kills up if he's hoping to come away with the round. But the time is likely going to tick out here, but not before Shaiko can pad those stats with another one.
Excellently played here. Some consistency starting to show up, especially on the defensive end. At the tail end of it, though, so we'll head back into the game now, where it's going to be another upstairs defense as BDS has unlocked this site for play. Mind you, of course, if you weren't here for the earlier rounds, they managed to win trophy first, then went for a second try onto AVG. So that's why you're going to see them go into this site first on the rerun as well. We'll also be able to venture back towards AVG, of course, should Falcons have a winning strategy to course correct for this upcoming round. We are going to see a few small changes come into the lineup to make things a bit easier for them, most notably the Nomad coming out for Kotos to try to watch out for the more adventurous members of BDS that have been creeping up on these Falcons clears every once in a while. Aside from that, though, everything is going to show itself in the way that we've seen it previously. Most notably their Mad Skills back on the Maverick as well, to try to take out some of these master walls, if that is going to be the avenue that the Falcons will use to push into the site.
Alem's had a little bit quieter time of things so far. Sitting at 4 and 3 right now. We've not seen him go for the outlandish roam games that we've seen him do in previous matches. Really playing things a little bit more conservatively here, especially on Villa. But still keeping himself out there as a threat to be countered with. Something that Falcons really struggled to do last time they attacked into Statuary was really take any meaningful control of Master Bedroom. Shaiko ruled the roost in this spot. Shaiko isn't going to be playing here now, and as such, Falcons are going to be having a much more concise effort to take immediate control here, inserting O-kills quite early on into the round. Drone just working ahead of him there as well, seeing if they can give any information across to him. But at least if he's able to just keep an eye on that door, they can look to try and hold this spot. There is the small matter of the Electroclaw that will need to be dealt with. Now, that could either be done by a grenade underneath, which would probably be the most favorable method at this point, especially seeing as the amount of nades Falcons have brought.
Falcons, though, taking a nice, slow approach to this one, not wanting to repeat the same mistakes that have been made earlier on these clears. O-kills, of course, with his positioning on the top of the master bed itself. Waiting to see if we'll get any sort of aggressive swing from BDS, but you guys at home can tell from the silhouette, it's not going to be a whole lot moving out from BDS inside of that area. They remain nice, cool, calm, and collected. Even there, we see a potential swing come out, but not a full commitment from Shaiko or anyone else on this squad. Shaiko got a little unlucky there with that damage, but he is able to avoid the most of it. Although the intel comes out for the Falcons, they'll know that a player is going to be locked in the statuary corner, but it's the long-term game here for the Falcons. No way to easily open up this wall. They're going to need to get nades over the top to be able to take out the Electroclaws here, but so far Playday just striking true against Kota's Joker, though, able to make up for that as he's allowed to go to the very edge of the Master Bath entry, and he picks up the trade against Renshiro.
Breeday's got a difficult job here keeping control of Astro, and he's likely not going to be able to do it. Joker's going to push himself down, but get taken out by Rafal. The SMG-11 there, superior at close range, and Playday with the swing just to keep his buddy safe. Mad Skills, he's going to take Shaiko down as O-kills pushes on into the site, but it is for the most part going to be unsuccessful as he is immediately downed. Everything now resting on Mad Skills' shoulders. BDS still occupying the area inside of Astro as Mad Skills crouches forward, looking maybe to pick himself up a cheap kill. 20 seconds left isn't a great deal of time to be playing with. The diffuser, of course, cold on the ground. BDS know this, and they are going to guard it with their lives. Last second revive as kills are going to be the order of the day here to get this round done. 7 seconds left on the clock, immediately getting stuck into the goo mine. That's the audio cue that Playday needs for his third on the round. Rafal picking up the last. We've not seen many rounds go out on time. These players are thirsting for those final kills.
Definitely the case, and it's in large part due to the composure we see from BDS inside of that round. We have seen it time and time again, both inside of this map and back on Bang, that they want to be aggressive, they want to try and challenge out the members of Falcons early on, but that hasn't necessarily been the winning formula here on this map. So this time, they take a nice patient hold, especially after the first kill is claimed for themselves. Let Falcons make all the mistakes because we have all the territory, and Falcons are really only relying on those 1 to 2 pushing angles and rarely getting the kind of prep control they need to be able to swing themselves into the site. So BDS can rely on their interior site positioning to get them a lot of kills, and that's exactly how they're able to negotiate such a one-sided hold for themselves as we come down to those final seconds of play.
Could be about to see a 5-1 here on Villa. That would be very, very damning for the Falcons, given that this is their map. This is a map that we know them to be very comfortable on. We've seen them play fantastically on this map already inside of Gamers8. Desperately struggling for a round. BDS only let one slip so far. It was a hold of Aviator in Games Room.
5 seconds to go.
But as we commented on at the time, it was kind of uncharacteristic, and BDS have proved that to be the point, given the fact that they haven't lost since going back here. Shaiko, maybe feeling himself, could be about to go for something a little bit more aggressive. Oftentimes, a nice nitro cell over the balcony will do the job, but seeing he's got the impacts in hand, he's instead just looking for a cheap kill. Unlucky.
The one part of the barricade that he didn't punch out there, unfortunately, is going to be the exact position that Joker repels up towards. So Shaiko just sitting there with question marks hovering over his head, unfortunately, as the unlucky physics just did not play out into his favor to be able to spot that play coming back up. Nicely found, of course, from the Falcons, though. Look at that first kill for free, capitalizing on that little bit of aggression from BDS, trying to take the needle a bit more towards the aggro side for this round, and immediately going to be forced to pay the price for it.
BDS have won rounds 4 versus 5 already on Villa, but it's never ideal if that's the way that you're going to be starting things out, especially on Aviator and Games, given that there are just so many important places that you need to try and keep a hold of. And with Flores being brought this time, those Rotero drones are going to make short work of a lot of the utility that has been brought. There's no mute on the side of BDS to really counter that play, and as such, a lot of that barbed wire, a lot of those deployables, and of course the Malusi Banshees are going to be made very short work of. Lem's still playing on that main stair area. BDS, for the meantime, fairly well spread out. They've suffered greatly at the hands of vertical nades as well, as Falcons in and around the midpoint will get themselves in below and look to make good on that drone information that they can gather. This time though, as we can see from the silhouettes, there's going to be no Falcons players underneath. Instead, they're going for quite a horizontal push.
Joker ready to start moving himself forward. Has reached the threshold of death's door. This is always where that execute halts. You need that secondary angle to push in, whether it's going to be support coming in from study. More than likely not going to see that happening to too strong of a degree here for the Falcons. They just don't have the player presence in that portion of the map. We could still see some action build up over towards 90 to build up with JLad and try to pinch things out over towards the bar door. And that may end up being the intention here, as we can already see O'Kill's position towards that. He's going to try to position himself right up on top of this hatch in case things get a bit dodgy. And he'll actually drop down too. Wants to see if any of these vertical angles will yield visuals against the members of BDS. And he nearly is able to get it. You can see glimpses of one of the players sitting above. This yellow ping unfortunately going to be way off mark, so not going to be able to spot much from that. 0 damage done to the players on BDS here. And Joker also taking a lot of heat. Thankfully, Adrenal Surge is still in play for the Falcons, so they can boost his HP up to a little bit more of a workable point.
It's looking like a single doorway push here, as Falcons haven't really got too many options to get through these reinforced walls. Rafal kicks off things for BDS with a kill onto JLad. The plant was being attempted briefly, but it's immediately stopped. Madskill's pushing his way in, will be the next player to fall downed, as well as Kotos is going to try and lock in that plant, but he's likely going to be the only player standing. A desperate pre-fire there from Playday sees the job done, as BDS let Falcons in and then lock them out.
And once again, it's that interior site defense not giving an inch over towards the Falcons here. So composed, not making any mistakes. And as a result of that, the Falcons are just left constantly guessing. For 2 rounds in a row now, this is, guys, how do we get in here? How do we rush past this setup without immediately losing half of our lineup? That's the problem that they're currently going up against. And unfortunately, they just have not had a solution for that for the past 2 rounds. The early clear, the roam clear, that much is fine. But getting into the site is a real problem right now for the Falcons. The good news is, though, the attacking side is over. They can flip it over to the defense and focus more so on this side, but now down 1-5, quite obviously, as you can see it on your screen. They'll have to be nearly perfect on this attacking side, or this defensive side, excuse me, to be able to bring things back under their own control.
You can hear the crowd getting behind the local side now, as well as the Let's Go Falcons chant rings out through the stadium. They're going to need plenty of that if they hope to get 4 rounds in a row here and level things up with BDS. BDS only 2 rounds away from taking this second map in the series, and at that point things start to look pretty desperate indeed for the Falcons. They'll no longer be able to make any mistakes inside of this best of 5.
5 seconds left.
It's going to have to be a fairly squeaky clean defense on Villa. The first round, as always, will set that pace. BDS have the comfort of a 4-round buffer. And for them, the pressure, realistically, it's off right now. They don't have that pressure leaning down onto them. Lem's going to be rocking the Jackal this time, seeing if he can get a handle on some of this roam game that they're expecting from the Falcons. They roamed very heavily on Bank, and it makes sense that you would expect them to roam quite heavily here on Villa as well, already getting themselves established inside of Master as they look to try and take control of this side of the map.
Let's go quite quiet here, but it's going to get loud pretty quickly. As I mentioned, that Shaiko letting a winning nade, getting some revenge for his death earlier on, playing in this very same position, takes out a Joker. At the same time, Lems is also lost elsewhere on the map. E1D charge going to move in. Not going to see any huge movement from BDS to correspond to it, however, so Madskill's still ready to try and strike back against this entry that had moved in from Shaiko and a few of the other members of BDS, but their priorities are elsewhere. Definitely wanting to try and move themselves over towards trophy side with the way they're lining up their players right now. They may very well be able to do it. You can see how much pressure has been forced off here from the players on Falcons. Madskills may have his first challenge in just a moment. He's got the CZ out to take it as well. Beautifully played. Knocks out Shaiko. Gets revenge against him. And oh, what a refrag to go right back into that same angle. Clips the head off of Playday as well. And leaves BDS. Oh, Madskills with another one to take home too. Renshiro also going to be left stunned as to just how his head was found there. But still, it's been done. And now Rafal, the only one left standing, will get the first kill needed. But 3 more still need to be claimed.
Minute and 10 left for Rafal to try and get this done. Not a great amount of utility at his disposal. O'Kill's prone underneath the Kiba barricade. It was always going to be a difficult one for Rafal to challenge onto. Mad skills, coach, by the way. That's not the first time tonight that we've seen him pick up multi-kills either. He's making a little bit of a name for himself on the defense, whether it be Legion or Vigil. He's lethal.
He's gonna have like the highest headshot percentage of any fill-in in history at this rate, because some of these shots we're seeing are just, look at this, absolutely insane. And then one more as well. This whole team can do this though. We've seen multiple members of the Falcons going for these tiny little lean peaks where they lean out, go for the one shot, and then quickly unlean. We see that out of quite a few of the other members on this roster, and it's been a really successful tactic for the Falcons over the course of the series they played at this tournament.
It's in contrast to what we're used to seeing as well. We're used to seeing just players mag dump angles. Like, if you're not pre-firing an angle and dumping half a clip into it, what are you doing with yourself? But these guys just love going for these little flashy one-taps, and it often works out for them. Falcons, they've grabbed the first round of many that they need if they want to try and lock things up here with BDS. 3 rounds behind now and already forced into their site rotation. Kotos, hopefully not going to go for anything too aggressive here, as we saw exactly what happened to Shaiko when he attempted the same. He's going to go for the little cheeky run out though. It's not one that exposes you too much. You just a little hop out, hop back in. Maybe go for the nitro cell over the top as well, just for good measure. The drones are already working ahead here for BDS.
Fakes out at least one of the frag grenades from the Falcons, and look over towards them. They didn't necessarily bring a whole lot to the party this time. Still down to only just 2 remaining for themselves. So actually, I'll correct myself. I believe that was an impact I heard go off, not a frag grenade. So never mind. As we see J-Lad just opening up a bit more of an angle to play into on the top downs there from the interior of that bedroom angle. Renshiro and some of the other members of BDS now going to get themselves into position to start fending off this pressure from the Falcons on the interior of Master as well. Have to be very careful about the pushes. At minimum, what that opening run out is going to do is make BDS second guess themselves for this opening clear. They know that Kotos or someone else from the Falcons is going to want to try and venture forward aggressively here. They just don't know exactly where it's going to come from. The drone, I believe, just spotted Kotos, though, so they'll have that assurance now. We'll probably have the confidence to at least move into walk-in. You know, their sights to be chained together after that as well. Now that O'Kills is going to be isolated here, he should still have a Kiba to re-block that window off, though, if he wants to continue to hold this angle quite aggressively.
Lem's taking a good amount of damage there as he does get juiced back up somewhat. EMP goes out just to nullify any electronics as a Lion Scan comes through as well. O'Kills just playing at the bottom of Astronomy Stairs. Kotos needs to be cautious. A lot of angles open here for BDS to work with. And Nade going to get caught there by the Wamai. He has got an angle now to work with through this reinforced wall. It's going to take a little bit of damage though as the hopping comes through. It's going to be successful from Kotos, shutting Renshiro down. Lion Scan or not, Renshiro will fall. And that's going to be the first kill coming in at around the minute 15 mark. So quite a slow round considering the pressure that BDS have applied straight from the off.
O'Kills with the winning angle to try and fend off the pressure through the breach that was made by these defenders as well to the left side of that triple wall leading into Master. O'Kills, though, tries to be patient on it, but also having to watch out for some pressure. Might work its way in from Astro. He's got Joker to pay attention to that, but he can only watch one of these angles at a time, too. It's a little bit of a tricky hold here for the Falcons, as they're only the 3rd player in this position to do so. That shot, I believe, actually tapping one onto Rafael just slightly there, but I'll follow back and see if that ends up being true. They'll block off a bit more of that rotation from Astro, but Shaiko is going to be able to catch O'Kills instead. That angle works just as well for the attackers as it does for the defenders, and this time BDS excel at evening things out. And oh, the timing for Joker, I think he went to look to his left. That'll lead to his death. Shaiko chaining multiple together now as well, leaving J-Lad on his own inside of the 1v3. Won't be able to contend against the pressure as one more is claimed from Shaiko. He's quickly going for that kill bounty here. We'll have to keep tabs on if he's going to be able to actually catch up to the current leader, which is O'Kills on the side of the Falcons.
If Shaiko keeps getting 4 kills around, he's not going to be far off. Such a dangerous player, especially on Finker. I mean, the Finker LMG makes a lot of people look good, but Shaiko uses it just so well. He gets himself in great positions to pick up multiple kills. That's exactly what we saw in that round. Map point for BDS on Villa. Set to be a much shorter affair than what we saw on Bank going to all available rounds. Falcons really run out of steam. Didn't have a very successful attacking phase, and as such, can't afford to make many mistakes on this defensive side. Now Falcons too managed to gain 1 round on that attack. But BDS really didn't look too pushed inside of that last round. They were very happy to play patiently and to let Falcons make the mistakes and force the error.
That's kind of been the critical thing that I think BDS has realized ever since we got towards round 2 or 3 of this map, is that if they play things slowly, more composed, more than likely Falcons are going to make those mistakes. They are going to try and go for those aggressive peaks, like we're going to see again here from Kotos, just trying his luck about it. Like you said, this doesn't expose him too much, unless someone actually tried to peek the very same angle that he was firing at, which you'd hope he'd have a good chance of at least winning that fight there. So nothing too much lost here with that run out, but still, once again, evidence towards the fact of what BDS is playing into here. They know that Falcons are eventually going to try to make a move somewhere on the map. As long as they're set up appropriately to counter it, they should be able to use that as an opportunity to get a kill or two to push the advantage into their own corner here. And that's been the winning strategy for the past 5 or 6 rounds now, and has obviously thrusted BDS into a very powerful position here on Villa.
Mad Skills there, going to be gifted an opener onto Shaiko. Just trying to make a sneaky entrance in through the basement. It's a very underused area of Villa. I'm not sure if he got caught out in a drone or just caught getting himself into the map, but regardless, it's going to be a kill that goes over to the Falcons. A good opener here to get, especially when Shaiko has that potential to pick up those multi-kills and is often a big reason as to why BDS's executes work in those dying few seconds. It puts a bit more pressure onto everybody else as well, and the loss of the adrenal surge and those couple of nades is going to be felt for sure. It's going to leave a lot for Lems to do with the 2 nades that he has left remaining. As he drops the Gemini clone, just hopping in and seeing if he can get a bit of a better view of how the land lies. Madskill's going to be playing things quite tight on the window. Knows that the Gemini was just thrown in and picks up a great shot over onto a Lems. Another headshot for him as well.
We were saying before, the accuracy for Mad Skill specifically, but also for quite a few of the other members here on Falcons, looking second to none inside of this tournament at the moment here. BDS certainly going to be a little bit scared about how to proceed from this point forward, as finally the slow play has come back to bite them. Falcons are finally able to line up some of this early aggression with some success for themselves. It's been evading them the past 2 rounds. Kairos are in, but I think quite a few of them are going to be lost and shut out quite quickly. So not going to get the opening that they would like to have in the long run here. They're going to need to look for another avenue to move themselves in. As you can also see, quite a bit of a defensive setup for the Falcons position over here. But even when we see Renshiro try to open up new territory further towards the red stairs, he's immediately fended off by another player from the Falcons. Has been pushed out. Joker in this area now going to feel the safety to move even further out from that position. Playday still looking for this player as well, and meanwhile he's on the opposite side of the map. BDS, unfortunately, for this round at least, have just lost the plot entirely. I'm not sure how they're going to be able to try and postulate this push. With only 20 seconds to go, at least they catch Joker at the tail end of things here. A second to be found from BDS. Maybe it's not over just yet, but BDS will now be left alone on an island. And Kotos will quickly exchange him out for the Falcons to claim a 3rd round.
That push from BDS seemed to fall the moment that Shaiko was lost. And that signifies a little bit of a problem if you are relying on a talisman player like that. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that BDS rely on Shaiko, but he is a big part of these attacking pushes. And when he falls early and whatever initial plan was set then cannot be executed, and you see a couple of solo challenges, a Lems did suffer some quite unfortunate timing, and Mad Skills couldn't put a foot wrong. He picked up 3 on the roam, and he was here, there, and everywhere. Falcons doing exactly what they need to stay in this. BDS still on a match point though. 3 rounds for Falcons in a row now would see them take this to an overtime. But how many times can they fend off that match point from BDS?
Indeed, it needs to be 3 in a row from this point forward. Consistency needs to be found here. BDS indeed still looking for the closeout on themselves. Not able to dictate where we go for it. And we are going to go to arguably one of the more difficult sites to try and breach as the attackers as well. Falcons back on the AVG hold, where they were able to pretty quickly lock things up here on the first round of the half. But the repeat, we're looking to get a 4th round. That'll be the first of 3 needed. No huge change-ups to the operator department here. Still going to be relying quite heavily on the Thunderbird to bolster their efforts on the interior of the site and act as a fallback for the extended players should they lose too much HP and need to fall back from their positions entirely.
Can hear the crowd there getting more and more hype as every round that Falcons win. They're going to need more of that if they hope to close things out here on Villa. Certainly have the support of the stadium. Is that going to be enough, though? BDS going to be starting their campaign here, looking to gain a little bit of early information on that top floor. We do have Joker playing downstairs in Library. Does have a C4 in hand. He isn't working off tons of info at the moment, just hearing barricades knock out here and there and looking to give it a cursory glance, see if there's any opportunity to be found. Conscious he could be getting droned and baited here, but Lems is going to be playing this one quite slowly indeed. Maybe looking for a little bit of a bait out of the window there as he is going to open up now. Renshiro kicking things off with an early nade kill onto J-Lab. Lems does get caught out by Joker. Joker played downstairs fantastically there. Didn't get baited into one window or another. Was very quick to react as soon as the second was bashed.
Shiro positioning himself a little bit further back. Now going to get scared away from that mudroom hop-in. Not having the confidence to move forward with it, and without the team support as well, cannot justify going for that type of a play. So he'll group up with some of the other players clearing out Art Studio and try to pinch things in closer towards Library. Need to focus up, though, to play into Study. Scratch that Art Studio push for himself. So we still have at least one element alive. Mad skills, and oh, this is arguably one of the most dangerous ones. Let's go to these operators with the 1.5 times, and I can't disagree with them with his headshot accuracy, too. The top down, beautifully played, and is going to be able to knock out Renshiro, and here comes Mad skills to land what arguably could be the killing blow for this round. At the same time, though, Rafal going to be able to bully his way forward. Could get a second kill by Death's Door, but no, Joker wins that fight instead, and Kontos closes out with one more. The Falcons refuse to die, but they still have 2 more rounds to go.
The Falcons are fighting here, chaining these rounds together, taking things one step at a time. So far, it's working out for them. BDS, frustrated looks on the faces. Do still have a timeout, so could look to try and stop some of that momentum that the Falcons have gained over the course of the last couple of rounds and recompose themselves enough to get that one round that they need. But for BDS, the problem has really been in that opening. They've been very unsuccessful in that opening engagement. We saw Renshiro get a great nade kill there, but as soon as the Lems fell underneath, it was a solo challenge. There was no one there to trade off the back of it. It seems to be won and lost on that roam game because it's costing BDS quite a lot. And when those players from Falcons are then able to be successful on the roam and rotate themselves back upstairs, that's really when things start to become a little bit of a problem.
Starting from 5-1, BDS has certainly lost their edge to an extent, but thankfully plenty more opportunities still to close this out. 2, in fact, sit in front of them. And indeed, this is more than likely going to be their tactical pause they've taken here and now, icing out their opponents just a tad, but realistically needing to recenter themselves as well. Things have gone awry over the past few rounds. The strategies that were working previously, it's no longer the case, and these attacks are oftentimes leading into them losing far too much too early on, not even allowing them to make a bid for the site, let alone get the majority of their players into the building. The aggression from the Falcons is difficult to control when players like Mad Skills are allowed to constantly go off on their roam game. For the Falcons, though, finally reaching a point where maybe they'll have to stretch themselves a bit too thinly, as they too need to extend all the way down to the first floor now for their site hold. They'll select Kitchen for this one. So they need to lock this one in before being able to return upstairs to Trophy for what would be the final round to trigger a second consecutive overtime.
BDS know what they're going to be going up against here. They know they're going to be going downstairs to Kitchen. Not opting to bring a sledge. Instead, they're going to be relying on soft breach that they have in form of breaching pads. But Shiro is going to be playing the Nomad, so we'll look to try and lock down some of those staircases and remove that ability to roam and rotate. Mad Skills. Been such a threat in the early part of the round. It's going to be no different here. Lems noticing that the window is open there into Study, not wanting to give himself up too easily. All this does is really slow down the attackers as well. When they're conscious that they're going to get spawn peaked, they're conscious of this early aggression, it can just sap away a little bit of that time. And as we know, time is so important on the attack. You've got to be very efficient with your time. And if it takes you an extra 20, 30 seconds to make your way to the building, it can be very damning indeed. The second round in a row, though, Renshiro is going to hit that opening kill, taking down O-Kills, successful on the Nomad.
Renshi with obviously a great start for him, and going to be able to resume pretty much immediate control over the upstairs hold and master. Oh, we have to wait and see, though, as there's going to be a dash attempt from JLad try and work his way past this two-player hold at the pantry window. Only goes into a down state. The nade actually chucked down below too, so it's not going to finish off JLad. He'll surprisingly be allowed to be brought back up here, but right obviously at very low HP. We do not have the Thunderbird present for the Falcons either, so not going to be able to see that HP be brought back up at a later point in the round.
Lems hanging around the back Astro stairs. He's going to push himself straight into sight, as we've seen him do so many times, but immediately shut down. Kotos picks up 2. JLad onto Rafal, and Shaiko and Renshiro left to pick up the pieces. Shaiko in the middle of sight. Toxic Babe canister choking him out before he finds one. He's 1 versus 2. This will be 4 kills on the round if he's able to get it. He's locked into the 1 versus 1 with mad skills. Could look to try and get the plant down. Depends on how much information he's got available to him here. Sitting at around half HP. No C4 available for mad skills. Going to start the plant now. Could be a bait, could be a stick. Looks as though he's going to try and stick it. There must be some information here available for BDS, but it's not going to be enough. Mad skills clutching out the round like it's nothing.
The coach showing up as the hero that is needed in the midst of the round yet again here as Mad Skills brings it back under the control, takes us to the final round of regulation, where once again we could be thrusted into overtime. Beautifully played by the Falcons here as they're able to come back from the brink. A 1-5 start on this half, now all the way up to 5-6. Still at a deficit though, so needs to pick up that one final round. And also a massive profit to Kotos once more as well. I set it back on map number 1, and we've seen it here once again inside of that last round here. This player continues to be a hero time and time again when situations look bleak. He's always able to multi-frag under a tremendous amount of pressure, oftentimes in a fairly claustrophobic position on the interior on these sites as well, but still, he always is coming out on top with a multi-frag. Definite props going to him as well for saving that round for the Falcons.
Mad Skills is 16-8 right now. Going double positive, 16-8. That's absolutely nuts. Consider that Shaiko, someone we always talk about when we're talking about kills, is only on 12-9. Playday actually currently the kill leader for BDS as that hard support on 13-7. Has had a couple of exit frags, admittedly. But Mad Skills is really coming out there with some very impactful kills, particularly at the start of the round, and being there ready to clutch inside of the last one as well.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and
BDS have had plenty of opportunities to close out this match point, but this will be their last opportunity before we are forced into an overtime. And they're going to be looking at that and going, guys, we really ought to have done this a little bit sooner. There has been plenty chance for BDS to shut Villa out and take us onto our 3rd map. Only time will tell if this is going to finally be that round.
BDS indeed still need to try and lock in one more for themselves, and all of this comeback effort from the Falcons could ultimately be for naught. That would be a massive momentum breaker for a team being able to get themselves to an international stage like this for the very first time. The home crowd here as well. Falcons will certainly have to be pulling a greater part of their strength if they go down 0-2, coming so close to the comeback and only being denied on the final round. But we'll hold our breath to wait and see as Rafal goes huge at the beginning of this one, able to get a beautiful lineup against both JLad as well as Joker to bring things down to a 5v3 before we even cross the first minute threshold on this round.
It's a big start for BDS, and it is the start that they needed moving into what could be the last round here of Villa. Nice opening advantage there as well, removing the mute and the Wamai. Shaiko going to double down, taking Mad Skills down, but O'Kills is there for the trade. He's going to have to go pretty huge here inside of Master. He's going to get a couple of kills lined up for him as Lems and Playday both next to fall. Quick as a flash, we're leveled up 2 versus 2, and Falcons are straight back in this one.
O'Kills was such a bold play as well to push himself out into Master, considering the risk involved in it. But this is what's been bringing the Falcons back so many times when it seemed like the round had already been lost here. BDS now struggling for options as they're brought down to an even kill in a 2v2. Not with the greatest amount of utility to execute into this site as well. No more nades to try and burn out any hard lock positions from the Falcons. Only flashes built up between the two players. More than likely still with an E1D charge to use on Rafal. But more than likely, these Falcons players going to be stacked erratic in their positions, or certainly with the capability to be so once the charge goes in, so that won't trip them up. Obviously, the Nomad charge is certainly going to be helping out, but the Falcons again strike true. It's Kotos with the Nitro Cell to shut down Rafal and end his rampage on this round. Everything now falls to Renshiro, who, to be honest, has been struggling a bit inside of this game too. 5 and 10 currently, but the first kill is found. Won't be able to find no kills, though, so the Falcons do it again as they trigger OT for the second map in a row.
The Falcons are the team that are never down until they are out. This was an insurmountable task on Villa, picking up 4 rounds in a row, and they have done just exactly that. They have stemmed BDS off from converting that map point into a match point, and they now trigger an overtime. Falcons can be very happy with what they've been able to achieve here on Villa, because I'll be honest with you, the first half didn't look great. I was thinking this could be a very quick Villa indeed, and even up until this last round, you look at it and you think BDS have got to take this round. They had such a great advantage, they just did not account for O-kills. O-kills picked up a couple of really important frags, and you could arguably say that BDS handed it to them at some point. The all-important question here is who will get which side inside of the OT. Unfortunately for BDS, they get the attack.
So we're gonna have to continue to struggle against the same types of attacks they've been failing to pull off here inside of regulation. Are going to be going back to the AVG for the initial hold. For those guys who are unaware of the rules here for overtime in Siege, we mentioned this in map number 1, but we do not have unlimited overtime here, despite the fact it's a best-of-5 final. Just going to be the straight 3 rounds, so first to 8 will win it. And on top of that, of course, as usual, the sites that were previously locked for the Falcons, even though they're still staying on the defense, they are now going to be unlocked for play. So they'll be able to go back towards AVG and try to lock in another round for themselves here.
And if you're BDS, you're going into this round knowing that we've struggled on this site. You're going into this round knowing that it has not been an easy one to attack onto at all. Kotos?
It took him a few tries.
It's all about the placement. It is all about the placement with the Cade Electroclaw. If you can get one in an impossible spot, particularly behind a vault door, it's going to be pretty tricky to deal with. BDS likely not going to be able to deal with that one inside of this round at least. And it certainly will slow the progress whenever they get to that point in the round. For the meantime, they're going to be looking to take control of Master and work their way through this north side of the map.
To be real with you, that is a perfect Electric Claw too. It's going to be very, very difficult for BDS to even find that, let alone be able to successfully knock it out, as you've also got a fully hard wall sitting behind it. Will be completely inaccessible to the attackers. More than likely, all those side walls reinforced too. That would be the second best way to try and access it. Once again, if they could even find it, which I doubt that from a drone's POV. Renshiro, though, setting himself up against 90 quite quickly, wants to punish any of this aggression that we get from the Falcons, as they've taken the opposite approach that BDS had on their defensive side. BDS wanting to stay cool, calm, and composed. Yeah, slightly relying on their extended game to maybe waste some time, and if they get lucky, pick up a kill or two at the beginning of the round. But the Falcons, even when they're pushed into a deficit, they're willing to risk it all in a bold play, and that's been what's saving them so many different times here. And it's caused so much fear and second guessing to be brought into BDS's attacking clears.
BDS looking to move quite quickly here as Shaiko pushes himself through, but it's straight into the gun of Mad Skills. That push wasn't bolstered by anybody else on the side of BDS, and as a result will just be a straight advantage to the Falcons. You could see BDS immediately scared to pushing off the back of it after they saw Shaiko's fate, and Kotar's going to shut Alems down out there on the rappel once again, leaving BDS in a very difficult situation. Kotos is lining him up for free here as Rafal gets himself into a scuffle, but he too shall fall down outside of Study, and with Playday the only line of attack left, it's going to be a flawless for the Falcons. They bring it all the way back and put themselves onto a map point.
The comeback is so close to its completion now. Remember, folks, 1-5 is the way we started this one out, and the Falcons have nearly brought it back in their own regard, risking potentially going down 0-2 in this series as well if they had not been able to do so. But now everything sits in their court. Just need to pick up that one final round, and they'll lock it in as once again BDS tries to go directly for the site play, but immediately are fended off by both J-Lad and Mad Skills. No immediate follow-up to try and make up the difference from BDS either. Didn't have have an immediate plan B behind that rush in through Death's Door. So because Falcons had the Kona station, they got themselves boosted right back up to near full HP and were ready for another fight. So by the time BDS were ready to move in, Falcons were more than ready for the challenge and once again shut down the play. BDS have a little bit of a sigh of relief to play into, as obviously they'll be switching over to the defensive side of things, where it did look a bit more dominant for them earlier on in the match. But even so, that looming threat of the return to the attacking side after this round is still something they're going to have to contend with sooner rather than later.
You've got to ask as well, at what point does it start to affect the mental on BDS? They've been on that map point for so long now, and Falcons have just gone from strength to absolute strength. Sure, they've got a little bit more of a difficult side here on the attack. Falcons, as BDS did, struggled on the attack on Villa, but the momentum is certainly in their favor right now. And if Falcons are able to sweep them out here, it's going to spell serious ramifications inside of the best of 5 as a whole. The next map, of course, being Oregon, which is absolutely guaranteed. And I don't know, I've got a feeling we might see all 5 tonight, Blue.
It's looking more and more likely if the Falcons continue to show us this comeback capability. BDS need to give us a bit of it as well, but the Falcons, zero respect being given here, especially by J-Lad as he moves himself directly towards the inside, already with positioning towards the lower landing of the red stairs too. Could make about quite quickly, but needs to build up the intel before he really tries to push himself into that. Even so, he's going to be down here on the lower level of those red stairs. If we see that member of BDS try to venture downwards, it's going to be Shaiko as well. Let's set up the perfect fight here for J-Lad and some of the other players in the Falcons to get that opening kill yet again. Shaiko as well, being shut down quite heavily here, but this time he's going to excel, be able to take down J-Lad. Pick up the first kill of the round for BDS.
That's exactly what BDS needed. They've really struggled in the opening engagement, and to keep Shaiko alive and to get him credited with the first kill is going to be huge here. Sledger's gone, 2 nades gone. All of that is only a good thing for BDS when they're looking to hold on to trophy and statuary here. Joker now looking to make his way into the party as he's getting himself in below. There are going to be players at the bottom of Astro. Looks as though he's aware of this though, as he's going to get a bit of a pre-fire out there. Meanwhile, Alems is going to be taken out off camera here as Kills has established himself inside of Astro. More firefights happening inside of Astro, but Playday just a step too far, I'm afraid. He loves playing inside of that position, just on the threshold of trophy. Still, Joker will pick up Renshiro below, but doesn't account for a second player. Almost gets caught with a nade in his hand there as he rotates over toward these east stairs. Hightails it out of there and keeps himself alive for the meantime. 3 versus 3.
Falcons keeping up with pace here despite the struggle they faced at the beginning of the round due to the loss. The push from J-Lad. Still going to be able to keep themselves in the fight, but for how much longer is the question. Shaiko, he's been reactivated now on the defensive side. He's immediately fragging out. Kotos has gone down. Bad skills and Joker going to look to make up the difference. Another swing, this time from Playday, takes out Joker. And leaves Mad Skills alone here inside of the 1v3, trying to make the play, but just can't make it happen against that M590. It's all too easy of a closeout, and indeed, that final round, number 15, is triggered by BDS as we go the full distance for a second time.
It's not every day you get to see someone tank 3 shots of the shotgun. Plenty of opportunity there, but it was always going to be a tough round, especially with the way that it started out for Falcons. Kills gave it his best, but that bottom floor clear not being successful enough, and Shaiko absolutely everywhere on the map, really putting the steps in inside of that one. It does still bode quite ill for BDS, given that they have to go back onto the attack now, a side that they have struggled with, as have the Falcons here on Villa, but it will be the last round of play here for map number 2. Falcons going to be taking us into trophy and statuary, where they will make their final stand.
All comes down to this for the Falcons here. Back onto a site which they have been able to make great control over off the back of, again, some very unexpected aggression in areas like Master. A few of the other initial cleared positions that BDS would like to take, there's like Mudroom and whatnot, which are usually quite easy for the attackers to walk right into on a round like this, have not been the case whatsoever. Falcons just have to close it down one more time to lock in the tie point on this series at 1-1. Joker going to be quite adventurous with his own positioning, but as we've seen before, very much off on an island. He'll have 0 team support. So if he gets peeked and goes down over here in his art studio in front lobby position, that'll be a clean kill for BDS. No trades will be seen for the foreseeable future.
This big question mark as to how BDS approach this, because they've tried a little bit of everything on Villa. They've tried rush rounds, they've tried slow push rounds, and nothing has really consistently worked out for them. They've brought the Lion. Of course, Lion can mean a multitude of things. It doesn't always mean a rush, but sometimes it signifies a bit of a go button. As soon as you get a nice little opening, that's when you're going to use the Lion scan and you're going to try and take a little bit more ground. Obviously, with the Nomad there as well, you're looking to cut off some of those rotations, although we haven't really seen the air jabs play a huge part in this game. Mad Skills tanks a nade and is left on basically 1 HP there. So he has been often a big part of how successful these defensive rounds have been for the Falcons, getting himself in and around the map, really covering a lot of ground and shutting down any sort of early approach. At least for this time, we've seen that approach somewhat successful, as we're already about halfway through into the round and BDS is starting to get themselves established.
Joker ready for a challenge. Doesn't know where it's going to come from, though, and the drone now spotting him out here. Oh, thankfully, it's going to be a friendly drone. It's obviously with Mozzie in play for Mad Skills. Haven't actually seen him being able to steal one of those away and at least to use it just yet, but might obviously a change of pace to that now for this round. Joker, though, a big risk, but it pays off for him. He's able to get rid of that Nomad charge and get himself out of dodge, but still, he'll lose one of his teammates to start this off. Shaiko gets the opening entry of the round. Another one getting claimed for him as well. Joker not going to be able to maintain position, but he does trade out against Shaiko. We're following the rest of BDS, though, have won this trade and brought it all down to Kotos, but he also downs the case, so it's not secure just yet for BDS either. If Kotos can hold here, he might be the hero that sends the Falcons into a tie position. But he's going to have to maintain, backs up a bit, will give that case control over to the players from BDS. Starting to second guess about where the next peak will come from. He's right in the prediction, but missteps his footing, and that will lead to the end of the map. BDS lock it in instead and get the 2-0 advantage in the series.
I think the result that everybody was expecting, but a result that took